The Urodactylodes, otherwise known as the Chameleon Gecko, an amazing New Caledonian species that is a small but also handleable reptile. Today we are going to be building them a new vivarium that will be upgraded from their 8x8x12 enclosure into a breeding 12x12x18. This will be quite the upgrade for them, and we've got a little bit of work ahead of ourselves, so let's get into it. Now, while this enclosure doesn't look like much right now, at the end of it, it's going to be an absolutely beautiful vivarium, but we are going to have to start at the very beginning. Now, as you guys can see, this obviously has some hard water stains, and when we're building a new vivarium, we don't want it to look like an old crusty enclosure, we want it to look brand new. So let's get our razor blade, clean this up, and then we can get started on building it. And look at that, it looks so much better without those hard water stains. Not perfect, but good enough. Now, as you guys can obviously see, this is actually an already done enclosure for the most part. We did the background and everything, it just happens to be unoccupied at the moment. So we actually get to skip a couple of the boring steps and move on to one of my favorites, which is going to be hardscaping the vivarium and then planting it. Now when it comes to the hardscapes for this vivarium, I don't think I'm going to be putting this Mpani wood back. It's a very large piece and these are very small boys, and it'll be hard to gather the eggs when I'm having to move this giant thing, especially when this tank becomes more established and the stuff is more planted in. So instead, we are going to head over into one of my grow out tokay enclosures. It's actually outgrown most of the hardscapes in there, and this setup will be swapping out the Mpani wood with those branches, what'll fit Yuri's a lot better. Boom, look at that. Already looks a lot better with all the little air plants attached to the Mopani wood. I absolutely love it. And now we have quite a few different hardscape materials to be able to use for the new enclosure. However, I think with this one, just because of how thin the branches are and how easy it is going to be to mold within the Viv, I think I'm actually going to do the plants first and then move the hardscapes around those plants. So let's check out what we are going to be using for this build. And now we already have a few plants inside of the 8x12s that we'll be using. However, let's go over to the grow tent because we'll definitely need some more for this bioactive vivarium. And after picking things out, I think we have all the plants we want, including some of those pothos, a peak philodendron, some variegated plants that I honestly can't remember what I propagated off of, and then finally 2 bromeliads and some Talensia to kick off this build. Now that we have everything planted, we'll give this a nice watering, add some leaf litter, and then finish it off with the hardscapes. And with the hardscapes in, we are almost finished. Now, I did leave some pretty big spaces that you can probably tell, and that's simply for the plants to be able to grow in. That pothos in the corner, the philodendron will eventually grow out and it'll create a nice petals for the animals that can climb on. You never want to pack the enclosure too tightly or else the plants will have no room to grow and they won't have enough light to be able to grow as well. Then finally, the last steps will be taking place. We'll be putting in the air plants for myriads, finishing the enclosure up, and then finally introducing it for our pair of chameleon geckos. Weeks have passed, and I'm happy to say that this enclosure has been doing absolutely fantastic. The plants are finally establishing with some growth on some of them, and the Uildactylotes seem to absolutely love this space, to the point where I have witnessed some copulation between this pair, which means hopefully, fingers crossed, we will have some more Uildactylotes babies in 2025. There you have it, boys and girls, another build done. Now if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss when our next video is done, and if you want to build your own bioactive vivarium for yourself, check out our website where we have everything you'll need. I'll have a link down there in the description. And until next time, I will see you guys in the next build.